There's something about public speaking. About 80% of the people say they feel nervous and have to perform a speech in front of the public. And the other 50% lies. Because even for them we can create some situations where they feel very uncomfortable. And I tried, trust me, it works. And by the latest research from Chapman University, fear of public speaking comes within the top 5 fears. And it's actually third. It's just behind the fear of the terrorist attack and identity theft. And as an entrepreneurs, as innovators, you have to do public speeches very often. You have to preach in front of the investors, in front of the business angels, to your supervisor if you're working into a startup, or even to motivate your peers and colleagues. So you'll be doing it on a daily basis. So we're going now to discuss how do you become successful in this field? How do you deliver memorable speeches? And first, we have to introduce and think, what kind of speaker do you want to be? And what type of speakers actually exist? So for that, we are going to use a simple chart. On the first chart, we are going to put the likability, how much impression of likability he leaves. And on the second chart, we are going to put competence. And based on these criteria, we can define 4 different types of speakers. The first type of speaker has a low likability and a low competence. And in literature, it's called the incompetent jerk. And now we'll play one example.
Saying in Tennessee, I know some Texas, probably in Tennessee, that says, "Fool me once, shame on you." If fool me, can't get fooled.
The guy is just a working disaster. The second type of the speaker is the one that has some kind of a competence, but it's very unlikable. And we call it a competent jerk.
He's here to mock a reporter with a disability. Take a look.
Written by a nice reporter. Now the poor guy, you gotta see this guy. Oh, I don't know what I said. Oh, I don't remember. Please don't I don't remember.
The guy is one of the most successful investors in the US, but still,
sorry for interrupting. I find him very competent for this position that he applies to. So
he's very competent for business investments.
For president, business.
Exactly, but his presentations in business are exactly the same. His presentations in business are exactly the same.
Okay.
So the third type is not a president candidate or presidential candidate. What we call a lovable fool.
Question I enjoy asking, what was the Oscar experience like? It's so surreal. Because I've been there, 3 times before, where the winner is someone else. And at that point, they always pan the camera towards you, supposed to go, "I'm so happy." When inside, you're going, "You don't even have a green card!"
So this is something that comedians use often. And Robin Williams was one of the most famous comedians, and most of his acts were like that. If you remember Mrs. Doubtfire, if you remember the genie in the Aladdin, it's a simple character, but he's just likable. You simply like him. And the final one is the one that has a high competence and that gives an impression of likability in his speeches. And we call that a lovable star.
I want to close my final White House Correspondents' Dinner by just saying thank you. I'm very proud of what you've done. It has been an honor and a privilege to work side by side with you to strengthen our democracy. And with that, I just have 2 more words to say. Obama.
Some of his speeches are even called the elected speeches. Because of his speech in 2008, media was openly addressing him as the speech who got him elected. So he's doing it very well. And usually, it's always best to be within those 2 groups. They are most persuasive. The only thing, it depends how capable are you in the area that you give a speech. And now we're going to discuss how you're going to do that.
But then why is Trump getting so many supports if he's not persuasive enough? Is there something that he's doing that's buying people's idea?
Exactly. He has that coverage of the high investment trust. So he plays the card, 2 cards. He plays first of all the card of security from the financial matter, so he's experienced in investment. And the second thing, he's waging the war on media. So he's pushing the people down on his ground with media war, and that's where he gains. So, what do you think? How do you create first impression? How much time does it take?
5 seconds.
35 seconds?
20.
20? 5? Well, it's actually 30 to 60 seconds, so you're all close. So it works on subconscious level. So you already made the decision, you were not just aware of it. And what do you think, what contributes the most to this first impression? What is that creates this first impression?
The gestures. Visual appearance.
Visual, okay.
The way this person presents
Mm-hmm.
herself.
Okay, and what is the most important thing? What is the ratio you would say? It's 55% non-verbal, how you look. 38% how do you say something, and 7% is actually what do you say. I was recently in one event, my friend was holding an event, and he called me, can you please come, and give a short speech. At that point, I had a lot of work, I had a lot of consultancy, I was really tired, but I cannot just refuse his call, So I went to that event. And before that, I was in a very traditional meeting with some very traditional people, so I was in a black suit and everything, and I came straight to that event, and I arrived, I was in a black suit, I was like red below my eye, because I just worked, And I was answering some emails in the corner because I had to manage, and my friend came and told me like, hey, like when you're up, they're thinking they're a Russian mobster, And I was like, okay, yeah, so this is 55% part. So I decided to play along, so I started adding the 38%. So I used the Russian accent from the movies. So they already started to believe, and then finally when they asked me, what do you do, I use the 7% part. I work in an organization, which is basically true because I work in a corporation, but this already did the trick, they already persuaded. And after that, when I came and gave a speech, they were really like, oh, okay, we're sorry. And I use that because it is something what creates the first impression. And now we're going to take a brief journey how to make it work. So first we're going to address the non-verbal part. Then we're going to address the delivery. Then we are going to address the content, and finally to round up the story and some final motions. And first non-verbal, which is often called body language. There's a famous story. Once Albert Einstein and Charlie Chaplin met. And Charlie Chaplin told to Einstein, I really admire you. You say something nobody understands. And everybody likes you. Everybody likes you. And the Einstein said, oh no, I really admire you. You don't say anything, but everybody admires you. And that was the power language. Charlie Chaplin was the body comedy, there was no tone, he had to express everything with his body. And when you can dismantle body language on a few key components. First one is the posture. So if you're going to give a speech in motivation, in power styles, if you're hardly going to do it like this, if you walk like this, or if you walk like this, if you stand like this, you're really not giving the feeling, of power and motivation. So the best thing is the neutral pose. So you can practice this in a mirror. So you just stand and make sure that your body is aligned. And try to keep that posture during the speech. Just don't overdo it, don't go Bravo style. So Johnny Bravo is out. Next thing is the position. It's basically where you position yourself when you're speaking from the public. A lot of people go behind the table, or behind a chair, which is completely wrong because you cover half yourself, so there is still less of your body to use. They put you in front of the speaking booth, you just take out the paper and go out, Just keep it. The other thing is, how far are you from the audience? In its basic nature, humans are mammals, and they are very territorial. And sometimes when you come too close, it really feels. For example, if I was speaking like this, it's already not comfortable, and the second your neck will go stiff. So try to avoid that. And this distance is highly personal. It depends on the person. If you are a 2-meter guy with 100 kilograms, you have to be a little bit further, because you cast quite a shadow. If you're not, feel free to approach. Find the middle ground. The next thing is the movement. A lot of people like to stand still. It's from the pillars position, so you are firmly rooted into the ground. And it's good, it gives the impression of power, But it's good for the shorter speeches, 3 to 5 minutes. Because if you're already speaking for 10, 15 minutes, you don't have, it's already monotonous, you know, you don't have much to move, you can only move your hands, so it doesn't work good. The other people go to another extreme, they go nervous, and then they start the principle which we usually call a caged animal. You know, when you go to the zoo and you see a lion cage, so the people are just walking and talking all the time and managing the position, and it confuses the mind, you know. The subconscious is really a powerful thing. So people get confused, and after some time, you know, looking get tired, you know, what's going on. And it increases the level of, it makes people nervous in the audience too, so try not to do that. The best thing is, be moderate. Stand in one position, talk if the stage is big, walk around a little bit in another position. It helps you to be present all over the stage, be present all over the public, because everybody feels that you get a part of attention. But don't overdo it, you know? So don't go over it. The second thing, the other type of movements, usually it's the one that we call Elvis. The Elvis is non-complete movements. So it's like this. So people start talking, get nervous, and they start like this. Or the mind is a simple thing. He likes completed actions. If you already started a movement, complete it. Make a step. Don't do half step. Unless you're doing the opposite. So try not to do that. The other thing is the swing. It's the same thing, but just back and forward. So they start nervous, you know, and they're just working like this, you know, moving backwards and forwards. If you already made a step forward, make a complete one. Complete it. The mind of the audience on the subconscious level, it's expecting it. You'll be confused if you're not doing that. Finally, the gestures. Did anybody hear about a gentleman called Alan Pease? He's your countryman from the UK. Okay. He's a behavioral psychologist, and he devoted his life to studying body language and how people react. And you can find him on TED Talks, he gave multiple speeches, and he has something that is called the palm theory. It basically says how your position of your palms influence the audience. Is up or down? Strange, huh? But it works. For example, if I would like to ask you now to change, everybody change their seat. I will ask you on 3 different ways with 3 different palm positions. Would you be trying to cross from there to here? Karina, would you be trying to cross here? Guys from the front, can you please go back? And guys from the back, come to the front. Number 2, would you please come to this section here? Would you please go in the back, and you guys from the back come to the front? Number 3, would you please come from the left to the right? Karina, would you please go to the left? The guys from the front go to the back, and the guys from the back go to the front. It's a difference. It has a different feeling. You're asking nicely with your hands on the upper position. This is already a bit of ordering thing. Like this, people on the power will go. So try not to use it. If you ask behavioral psychologists, what was the most powerful body language in history? Within the top 5, you have this one. Millions follow it. It's authority, it's power. Now imagine it was like this. Like this. What are you doing? You know, showing off, you know, trying to get it. It's nothing, it doesn't work. But you have to think how to use it. For example, if you want to ask people to do something imperatively, for example, there's a fire in the building, will you please go outside? This doesn't work again. Try not to point to people, that's very wrong. So, but this is more imperative. This is not. The facial expression. Yeah, and it's also based on what emotions you want to deliver. It's always good to smile. Smile is always good. I don't overdo it, you know. Don't do it. You're talking and you're smiling all the time. Feel natural. Feel positive, you know. But depending on the situation, if you're doing a motivational speech, with a face like this, it's not going to work. But if you're self-confident, that's a different thing. So imagine how you look. You can practice it in front of the mirror. And the actors. Because in the end, you are performing a speech. You're acting. The eye contact. Very important. A lot of people make a mistake and they speak, and then they work into the ground, and then they're sitting, then they find somebody who likes in the audience and they just look at them, and nobody else never gets an eye contact. It's completely wrong. Eye contact is privacy. Don't overdo it also, don't stare at one person, it's very strange, you know. Eye contact delivers a lot. For example, if you remember, one of the most memorable movie roles in history is Hannibal Lecter. And Anthony Hopkins, while he was playing the character, never blinked. And that contributed to the way how we perceived the character. The point is, try to give an equal eye contact to everybody. Yes.
Sorry for interrupting. So I do teaching. So
Yes.
I have 100 students.
Yes.
So I look. Because this is what I do most of the time. I just see someone there in the group who is the easiest, and I usually talk to a few people in German.
No, you have to scan the audience. In the large crowds, you have to scan. Remember what we talked about the movements. You have to move across the stage, but not in one place.
Okay.
And then imagine split it, imagine quadrants. You don't have to look anybody like completely in the audience, put somebody in the audience and talk to them and then to him. Like, when you're talking and making one point, go through your eyes through that quadrant. When you move on another position, go to another quadrant. The visual is quite interesting because when you have a high level of audience in one place and you're looking at one person, one part of the auditorium, the other thing that you're looking to, you know. That's why, for example, when students tend to cheat, you know, as soon as you look at that part of the amphitheater, everybody's like, okay, dropping, because they're not actually sure where you're looking at. So from the audience's part, it gives a different impression. Just try to make it equal. Everybody gets equal part of attention. In a small crowd. In a large crowd, just try to go with your look through the audience. Try to be equal.
Actually, we had also a motivational speech one time about how to give a speech, and there was one woman that said, you know, because you think you're looking, you know, for example, you look in a crowd with people that you can actually, and enough people, not in your case, it's too many, but in us, for example, really look at them. And that's what she said, that was the key, not to say like, ah, yeah, you know, like, some icon like really looking, and you do that all the time, you really look.
Yeah,
and that's in
a smaller crowd it's nice, but when I once performed the speech in front of 1,000 people, so it was impossible to give everybody part of attention. But each time when you move across the large stage, you just pick a few points, preferably in the middle, because when you're looking in the middle, you know, you remember, it's not how you perceive yourself when you look, it's how they perceive it. And when you look across in the middle, it can be anybody. And they feel connected. People feel connected with eye contact. But once more, don't be Hannibal Lecter, you know, like, don't focus people, you know. It doesn't work. It's spooky. Once I had a guy I was consulting and I told him, you know, I tried to look eye contact. He didn't understand it quite well. So next time when I came to the meeting to see the progress, he was like, everybody looking, you know, like, so you talk to a person, you know, no, okay, that's not what I said. So I tell the people, you know, that's why I tell the Hannibal Lecter story, don't overdo it. Now we're going to put our second part, about a delivery. So, we are discussing now the part of how you actually say it. And the first thing is the volume. I mean, if you're in a big space, it's not like this, you know, like people in the last row, like, oh, what, you know, like, and they lost interest. You know, I was recently one presentation, and the guy was like, really, you know, when I was studying, you know, after the minute 3, my attention was completely gone. If you also don't allow it, you know, if you're speaking too loud, people on the first row, like, oh my God, you know, I have to get out. What did I do? So try to find a sweet spot. So you can imagine that everybody hears you, but you're not over loud. Sometimes people get used to speaking loud, and then when you give them a microphone on the conferences, things get differently because then it's too loud. Check the microphone before. Put a friend in the back of the amphitheater or wherever of the room where you're speaking, just to test. What's best voice level that you can do? The other thing is a pitch. How soft or how deep your voice is. It delivers a different message. For example, I'm sure everybody here at some point was searching for an apartment in Paris, and we all know how awful experience that is, and how awful people are usually when you meet them, because they know that people need accommodation. And everybody's like, when you call them, they're all like very, very, very unpleasant. But I saw a video once from, he was American guy, recognized by the accent. He instead of making a simple ad, he uploaded a video. And on the video, the first time, he said, lovely apartment, full of lights, in the heart of Paris. And I was thinking like, wait, somebody's died, you know, like, I told him, and I found out he finished Harvard Business School. So it was kind of, so it was kind of obvious, he knows what he does. But if you're trying to deliver a soft topic, make your voice sound softer. Make it creamy. If you want to do motivation, or if you want to do persuasion, go more into the baritone. It sounds much more persuasive. And it puts you into the power position.
Or if you want to talk about safety, you can't talk soft.
It all depends. It all depends. It all depends how you work, you know. It's scientifically proven. It all depends. For example, when you're talking with a female, or when you're in front of a female, it's always good to go into a deeper voice. But if you talk with the guys, you know, then it comes like a competition, you know, like who has a deeper voice, you know, and situation gets quite comic, you know. The only thing is everybody has a natural tone of voice. So this thing is, it's not easy to practice, but if you practice it on a daily basis, it can help. And for this, it's very important that you record yourself. Because...
Can it also make you very artificial though? If it's too different from your natural voice?
It depends. It depends. I mean, it all comes down to how much you believe in something that you speak. And if you really believe in it, it's becoming you. So the thing is not trying to like completely change the pitch of your voice in total, but just increase the depth and oscillation a little bit. And for that you really have to record, because once you record yourself and then you play it, oh my god, you know, like it sounds completely different. You know, I'm thinking it sounds like this, but oh no. So it's something that has to be practiced. Then this I saw this. This is speed is something that technical people make wrong very wrong all the time. They know you did it, and it's very difficult. It's very difficult. And some people are yet so slow. I was recently in one conference, and the main speaker was, and then the heat, demand, you know. You can see everybody in the public, you know, when they're busy, you know, holding on page. Come on, man, like say it, you know. And some people talk too fast, and you can understand what you're talking about. It's making people nervous. The funny thing is, when we learn a foreign language, and we give a presentation of foreign language, we tend to bring in some specifications of our own language. And languages are very different. For example, native Hindu is quite fast language. But the phonetics and the words are created like that, so it suits it. Once they cross into English,